A lot of complex legal implications are related to these business models, but as far I'm concerned, the library for training is beginning to be established by many rights holders. The market still needs to settle down, as I see it. There is no, let's say, universal asking price now that would be settled, and then again, it very much depends on the laws. As you described, the discrepancy between the U.S. and EU, although we have some standardization which is global throughout the international agreements. What I would like to point out is interesting way of use of AI, not generative AI, but within the film industry. I'm sure you are familiar with assisting tools such as use of Firefly research, following or tracking the movement of testing groups of viewers, trying to figure out basically how to stage the scene or what should be included to generate more interest and compete with the additional content and the small screens, meaning, let's say, the petty content on other media. And also there are companies heavily supported, such as Largo AI, who can assist filmmakers already in the development to assess the economical potential of the future work. And I would like to know, Stan, how do you see this new group of AI tools, and whether you perhaps with Kann have been discussing whether this is something that should be somehow discussed deeper about in relation to movies which are entering the competition, or whether this is just a natural development and evolvement of the industry in light of attention.
So may I clarify? You mean like films which are using AI tools can be accepted into competitions or not?
I don't mean, that's an interesting take on it. If you see it generally as AI no matter what, if generative AI or let's say technical or let's say personalization tools, or tailoring to audience appetite.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is a very, very good question, and I'll show it a little bit more in my slides as well. And I always come kind of as a sort of a seasoned McLuhanist. I try to come down to the point of what exactly is the PowerPoint, what exactly is the situation in the marketplace, and then what we can kind of do about it. And roughly speaking, last year there were 2013, where the latest data comes from. There was 2,514 feature-length feature films and documentaries produced in Europe, and basically out of these films, only 41 films had internationally more than 1 million viewers internationally. So basically that means 2,400 something films had less than 1 million viewers internationally. So what does it say about the state of our industry's problem? And the problem of our industry is not the problem of generating more content. It's the problem of reaching an audience. And this problem is extremely acute. And I have witnessed it because there is so much competition. I'll give you some other numbers too. So the average day of an European and an American with media and technology is 32 hours per one 24-hour cycle. And you might ask, okay, how does 32 hours fit into 24 hours? And of course the answer is multitasking. We watch streaming and we text with our friends, and TV's playing and we're listening to podcasts and to my own demise, I think also the culture of watching films is also changing in a way, because everyone wants to grab their phone every 15 minutes to search, who was the character and what was the star and who was the DOP and when it was produced and etc. and etc. So So ultimately, as a kind of a pragmatist as I am, I think all kinds of tools that help us to better understand an audience and reach an audience should be embraced very fast. Now, one of the things what we found out, and this is pretty much a call to arms for you if you are a producer. And by the way, I'm not now endorsing any types of European companies, but I'll make you an example. So at our Krishna project, what we did was that we ran some pilots with the European very well-known producers on using AI and virtual production in the past year. Pretty known producers across Europe, including one of Lucas Tontent, or ex-producer of Lucas Tontent, and so forth. And what we basically found out was that a lot of the producers kind of complained that, if we play with AI tools, the results are not exactly like reflecting what the state of our market is, and there's a bit of hallucinations, and maybe these estimates, audience building and financial simulation building and etc. are so accurate, which is, by the way, true. But also the reason is that the producers are not contributing any data to these models. So where you are then at the same time is a bit of a stupid problem. You want to have a really great outcome from an AI tool, but you don't give it any information. So basically, you want to drive a Ferrari, but you're not putting any gas into the tank. So I think and here's really an important sort of things to consider. I think what we really need to really assess in this situation where our biggest currency is audience, we have so much competition around the audience. Dear Lord, YouTube has 2.83 billion monthly customers. It's 1/3 of the world's population watching YouTube every day. So if the competition is so fair, we need to really get into some type of a new environment with European players or any other players that we want to tag along with, is saying like, all right, what can we contribute in terms of our data in order to train better models, in effect, to better understand what the audience is doing and how we can better sell and monetize. So sorry, it was a bit of a long answer to your question, but I think it outlined at least a very acute problem. So the data, so the technology and data and the filmmaker are all kind of inadvertently tied together. And if we want better tools that are better nuanced to our industry, whether in Czech Republic or in Estonia and elsewhere, we need to move really fast to collectively solve this. And ultimately, the festivals themselves are also struggling. We see that for many festivals, the audience is the question, and if we are able to, how can I say, tie the very good screen capacity or the screen excellence with very powerful data-driven tools to really understand, perhaps how can we tailor a better experience rather than purely a content. And I think I'm alluding a little bit to the presentation of Frankfurt Book Fair this morning, where they say this, that audiences are turning from consumers to fans. Then if we can somehow better catalyze that fan experience, it's the best for everyone.
Oh yeah, great. Thank you very much for the last remarks then, because that's one of the usual arguments that synthetic content or synthetic characters cannot really build a fan base, whether it will be true for the future generations or young audience. That remains a question. But
yeah, and there are some virtual influencers out there. It's whether Lil Michaela or anyone else, but right now for a variety of reasons, we are at the moment where, how can I say, the AI can help to scale that IP, but it is rather unable to build that great IP. You still need a human great storytelling and understanding in order to do that. And I see it from Lego. I see it from many other places as well.
Thanks, Dan. So before we jump to your presentation, I would like to share a few terms that, in my personal view, will be key for filmmakers in respect to use of AI. That would be perhaps establishment of some internal or personal guidelines. How do we want to use the tools? Which tools? Who will use them for us? And to what extent? How do we share our know-how? Contractual issues, not only copyright clearance, but basically legal clearance of works that are used for audiovisual works might be important as well. And then perhaps education about the trends, about the technological parts, and about how we communicate transparently and fairly use of AI, and the responsible AI is now term mainly related to big corporations, and not only tech industry but big corporations. They use AI, they want to use it responsibly. That's the whole ecosystem around that. But my perspective is that it's equally important for the filmmakers, not only because you have great responsibility to society, but also because you have great responsibility to the craft and art of filmmaking as such. And there's still the money we have to think about. So let's not forget about that, please. Not for a second, because festivals need their sponsors. You need to find the money for the works. So thank you very much, Sten, and I will be looking forward to your presentation now.
Yeah, super. Let me just open it up. One second.